All right. I should get my camera fixed here a little better. Testing, testing. I don't look like I'm in frame. There we go. Okay, and let me confirm our audio works again. I'm getting better at this. See, I got the audio working in advance. Starting a little late today. I'm apologizing for that. But we have some big things happening today. So I'm going to turn off my monitor here so that I can see everything. And let's see, got my monitoring view window open, and we are ready to begin. Hello, everyone. My name is Ross Shabilsky. I am the founder of D20 Studios and the creator of Summoner's Fate, a top-down adventure deck builder game about winning in the most creative way possible. And I have very, very exciting news today. After nearly 3 years in development, I am proud to say that we have just publicly launched our pre-release. It's now available on our website, summonersfate.com. You can buy it now for $29.99. That is for the PC and Mac desktop platforms. And we also have access with that to our testing programs on mobile. So if you buy the game on desktop, I can get you into the mobile testing groups as well if you want to help us test on mobile. But why is this awesome? Well, let's talk about that really quick before we get into today's episode. So this has been something I've kept true to heart since the beginning of this project. This is a game, and I really make this a feature of the game. In fact, we're going to go down to that feature here. This is so important. Community-driven design. That is the pillar on which Summoner's Fate was built since its inception. And since the beginning of this, nearly 3 years ago, I have involved players of our first game, Hero Mages, in very, very early, early access playtest builds where these players provided critical feedback and helped me shape the game you see today. And since that time, Kelly's my wife, has been helping to include our community within the journey and asked for your input on anything from card art styles to game design mechanics to how the game should operate and all kinds of various things. And many of the creative card ideas you see in the game, like the ability to hurl squirrels at your enemy and transform them into an army of Hulk squirrels, are ideas that came from you, our players. And I am proud to continue that tradition today in our Twitch stream, where we're going to be developing some additional player-inspired ideas into our cards. And for the first time today, we're also going to attempt to do a live update to the game build, and hoping that will allow you to see the card content we're creating on the stream here today immediately. And then we're going to attempt to play some games together to test that content and verify it's actually showing up in the game and working. Pretty cool, right? So this is let's talk a little bit about the week I've had and kind of some of the back-end things that we as indie developers have to take care of in addition to just programming awesome games. So major things that happened this week. We recently migrated our entire website to a VPS, a virtual private server, or is that what it's called? Yeah, virtual private server, I think. Basically a virtual environment. So we have our own instance now. We're legit. We did this so that we'd have a much better experience for our users over the shared hosting, because we were seeing connections to our PHPs and forums either lagging or dropping, and now we're on this really fast VPS, much better service. We've completely redone the homepage of Summoner's Fate, really cleaned it up, made it really friendly for mobile devices, and did a better job really presenting the game's core features, the description. These are all key things that go into game development beyond just making the game. Building websites, writing marketing copy, really showing off the best of what your game can offer in terms of the screenshots, the art, the presentation. We've got these awesome GIFs in here now showcasing how some of the game features work and the different features and everything. And we have our join our community logo here at the bottom. So these are all some cool things. In addition to that, I was also in the process of building an entire storefront so that we could process transactions on the website. So this is all custom. When you buy the game, it'll automatically generate a key for you and give you download instructions customized to your key, send you emails so you've got a receipt for it, and all kinds of crazy cool things that were a lot of work. I haven't had much sleep, but I'm super pumped, super excited to give this to you guys that want to participate in our early access and join the development journey while we continue to work our way toward launch. Some key things to note about the pre-release. Obviously, you get to play the game before its official release. So this is not an official launch by any means. This is a pre-release software. What you're paying for here is the ability to join us in helping us get a chance to see the game before it's out, take part in shaping its development, right? And the currently active features of the game are the deck builder, so you can construct decks. We've got over 170 cards of the, ooh, did my thing just go out? Oh, let me just make sure I can still hear me. I heard a beep on my headset before I ramble on here. Testing. Okay, I can still hear myself. I just had to make sure I wasn't losing you guys. Okay, you can construct decks. We have over 170 cards of the 400 planned for worldwide launch. You can battle in real time with other players and against the AI, which is an awesome opponent, by the way. And of course, this will grant entitlements to all the full release content when the game is out. We do not have our single-player adventures yet, or the asynchronous and desynchronous multiplayer modes. I will be working on single-player next, and as soon as it's available, those in the pre-release will, of course, get access to all features as I'm developing them. You get to chat with me on the forums, on Twitch here, and the Discords. This is what I hope to be the most involved, interactive, you feel like a rock star within our community, interaction with the developer kind of process in this pre-release thing here. So yeah, that's the pre-release and what it's about. So you can check it out on summonersfate.com. Now let's get into today's agenda of what we're going to be developing. So I didn't have a chance to put everything in the forums. I just kind of made a little scratch pad here. But what we're going to be doing today is building just 2 cards because I want to, take some time to do our live update. And those cards are going to be our Marauder Medalist and the Chimera. So the Marauder Medalist, let's go ahead and take a look at this guy here within the definitions editor. So again, for those who are new to our streams, this engine is a custom tool I developed specifically for the development of Summoner's Fate. And almost all of our content, game features, map or triggers, card designs, cards themselves, maps, VFX, everything we develop content-wise for the game is done within our custom tools, as you see here. And so this tool gives me the ability to look at animations. I can, preview animations. I can attack. All right, so what is the Marauder Medalist? Well, this is a really special character. During the Kickstarter, we offered the opportunity to back us at higher tier rewards, and in exchange for that support as a higher reward tier, we offer the ability to create a custom character in your image within the game. And so the Marauder Medalist is one of those such characters. He's actually a representation of a good friend of mine. And a shout out to Chris Sides. If those who know him, you can see him without his helmet there. That's what he looks like. And the representation is pretty true to life. I was really happy. He's really happy with the way it's turned out. And I made this a really fun option to be creative and allow our backers to be able to kind of customize and tell me what they wanted to represent themselves in the game. And he wanted to be this crazy, medalist type of character. And we worked together. And I thought our Marauder faction, which is all about like kind of, raids and chaos and, just going on, just all out chaos, right? Band of warriors. I thought that this would fit in well with that. And sort of the design theme that we have for the Marauders is that these characters all have heavy armor. They all have really strong stats and weapons. And to kind of synergize that group, we've made it so that these characters all grant abilities that support all other Marauders on the board. So it's kind of interesting, not just allies, but all Marauders. It's kind of like they're a raiding party, and when they see one of their other fellow raiders, they don't care if they're an enemy faction or not. They just all, get riled up and take it in the buff. So some of our other Marauder characters, we've got a Marauder Warlord, and what he does is every time new Marauders drop in the battlefield, he will buff up his stats and get stronger. And the Medalist is similar. He's a support type unit. He's got this crazy metal guitar that also serves as a weapon, and when he uses it, it's going to buff fellow Marauders. And we also want to have this kind of fun ability, so we joked about it being this screeching guitar solo that's so powerful it just explodes mines, and so we have it destroy all the units with just 1 life on the board as kind of like a fun thing. Yes. I'll take a moment to take a look at our chat here. Welcome, everyone who's viewing our stream today. Shout out specifically to Imzacola, who's in the chat there. So glad to have you guys here. Glad you're excited. All right, so I had this card in the game. This was an early design type, but it's not the final implementation because in further consideration, I realized this is not very well balanced because as it's currently read, it's a support ability, which means that he can trigger at any time and give all Marauders a +2 until end of their next turn, and then also destroy units with 1 life. And the concern with that is that you could use this, kind of overuse it at any time to destroy all the 1/1s, which is really overpowered against things like the Skeleton decks or the Squirrel decks, which all rely on 1/1s. So we want to keep the spirit of that ability, but we want to make it a little bit more balanced and also help shape this character to fit more in the Marauder spirit of both permanent buffs and applying it to all characters. So what I have in my notes here for this character is we are going to change him to Warcry Marauder. All Marauders gain +X/+X. And we'll probably do something like +1/+1 since this will in fact be a permanent buff. And of course we can tune that. And he will still do his destroy all units with 1 life. But we want to allow this to keep his cool ability where he plays his guitar, and it still makes it fun when it blows up the other lesser beings without it being overpowered. I also put in my design notes, and this was all discussed on our Discord, by the way. It demands more synergy with Marauder units since they now become a resource and a benefit receiver of the effect. So in order to power up this character, we're going to need to use, we're going to have to play other Marauder cards to make it work. And we're going to change the keyword for Warcry. In fact, I thought we may even come up with a new name for Warcry, since the Warcry keyword means triggers when the character comes on the battlefield. And we really want an ability that triggers when a character of a specific type comes on the battlefield. So we're going to look at doing that too. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get into this now. Oh, cool. We have a new subscriber on our YouTube. Excellent. Let's close that. Thank you for subscribing. Okay. So any questions so far about what we're going to be doing today that I can help answer before I get too far into the coding and all the fun development process of this? It's a lot I just threw at you guys. I'm just so pumped like I am with this crazy Marauder Medalist and his crazy guitar solo. Let's see that guitar solo. Oh, there we go. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure if my audio kicked out. Not sure what's going on with my headset here. I have it plugged into power here. Let's try that again. You guys, please let me know on the stream if you happen to lose audio at any given point. I'm not sure what's going on with my headset, but I lost audio on my headset for a moment there. All right, anyway, let's try this solo again. There we go. Yeah, pretty sweet. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on making this guy. I'm going to use the Marauder Warlord as a basis for the abilities because he's an existing character that has the power we want, which is when Marauder enters the battlefield. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and look at this buff on Marauder added to grid ability and make a clone of that to do the effect we're looking to do. Okay, so I'm going to go to our triggered abilities. We'll reprogram these, and we're looking for the buff Marauder and add it to grid. Okay, so we're going to make another one here that says copy, and we're going to call this buff Marauders on Marauder enter play. Enter, that's fine. Okay. All right, so currently this power that we're cloning from the Marauder Warlord is intended to buff the Marauder Warlord himself. What we want to do is change this so that it's buffing the Marauders on the battlefield, not the character who's using the ability. So what we want to do is change the trigger effect target method type from the ability user to the character that is actually coming on the board. In that case, which would be the event activator. And I think that's all we should have to do. really, we can actually clone this pretty specifically. It's already configured for type Marauder. It's going to apply status effect of +X +X. That's a permanent status effect until removed. And hit save. Okay. Now, what we want to do here is we're going to make sure the description changes. So I need to make this say, what do we have it say in that card? I have it written down. All Marauders gain +X +X. Okay, yeah, Warcry. All Marauders gain +X +X. Oh, and we're going to also have to make it all Marauders. We are going to change this a little bit more. Okay, so we need to make this say +amp +amp. Okay. And we're going to close that down. And we're going to change this keyword here. I'm going to make up a new keyword, which we're going to program in later. But for now, the word I thought would be best represented this would be something called rally. So that's what the rally keyword. We're going to make a description of what rally does. Rally Marauder. All Marauders gain +X +X. Okay, good. So let's save that description. And now we can actually configure it so that it's going to trigger to all Marauders, not just the one that's entering the board. So we're going to change this to action default instead. And then we're going to have to create a condition for it. So any unit, target subject, target that has trait, we want type Marauder is greater than or equal to 1. So that way it's going to apply the bonus to all of the Marauders that are entering the battlefield. Hit save. Okay. There we go. Any unit that is a Marauder, we target. This is a cast ability. And auto trigger. Should this be able to trigger when the character is, say, frozen? I'm going to say no. This is an interesting thing. We have this auto trigger property that controls whether or not the ability can trigger if the unit is not able to use cast abilities. So an example would be if the unit gets frozen. And since the idea here is that the Marauder Medalist is going to play his Wicked solo when other Marauders come to the battlefield, it would stand to reason that if he's frozen in an ice cube, he probably could not play his guitar, right? So we're going to make it so he cannot auto-trigger. He can only cast it, so he has to be available to cast. Okay. I believe that is all we need here. We check our messages, see if we've got any other questions in our channel. Looks like everyone's following okay so far. Great. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. And that should do the trick for his ability. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to create that keyword. So the way I create keywords is I just have a table in here. And what's cool about this is I basically just write in any kind of word, and I can write a description, and that will make it so that that card text is bold. In fact, before we do that, let's go and show you, because I want to kind of show you the process of how this kind of ties together. Let's go to Marauder Medalist. Okay, and all of our card abilities and this card text is auto-populated based off of the what's being fed in from the abilities chosen. And so what we're going to do here is change this. We're going to add an ability here called, the one we just made, which was buff Marauders on Marauder Enter Grid. That's the one we want to give them. Okay, so you see that description automatically got added to it, which is what we wanted. We're going to remove the heavy metal, looks like heavy metal, so we're going to have to change that power then, because we still want to do that. So we'll go back and change that. Let's hit save for this right now. Let's go back to the support abilities, which is in status effects. And I want to find that heavy metal solo. Okay, so this was doing two things. It was both buffing all of the visible Marauders and doing the crazy guitar solo. What we're going to do is change this to remove the buff, because I'm not going to do it this way anymore. And, actually, no, I take it back. We're going to have to remove this entirely. Destroy units with 1 life. We're going to have to make another triggered ability. I'm sorry if this is confusing. I'm just kind of stepping over my own feet here with all the thought process in my head. We need to make a separate triggered ability for destroying all units with 1 life. So let's do that. Let's create new. Oops. Okay, we're going to say, I'm going to just do this as buff on Marauders. I'm going to enable this just so it stays next to the other one for now. It's a little weird. Buff Marauders on Marauder Enter Grid 2. We're just going to save it like that for now, because I'm going to and we'll rename it appropriately later, but trigger event, add to grid, in fact, you know what, let's just add this ability inside of here. That probably makes more sense. And let's do it like that. I'm just going to wrap it into the same ability. There's no reason for it to be separate since this ability is only used by the Marauder Medalist. Okay, so we're going to do that. Any unit that's a Marauder, we're going to give the buff to. Then we're going to make a secondary targeting method for any unit, trigger subject, target that has 1 life remaining, property, attributes. Life remaining is greater than or is less than or it's equal to number 1. Okay, and then this should be primary target now. And then we're going to do new. What's the other piece of this? It's going to be set destroy. We want to do set attribute to, we want the pending destroy equal to number 1 on secondary targets. There we go. Okay, so that's the second part of the solo. It's going to destroy the units that have 1 life remaining. Okay, destroy units with 1 life. Okay, I got to check my previous thing. I can't remember if it was meant to be for units with 1 life attribute or 1 life remaining. I think it's 1 life remaining would make the most sense. Set attribute pending destroy to 1 on secondary target. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we need to make this not be bushes, so let's change that to target subject. Target trait. This should only be affected. We don't want to destroy bushes and plants. So we want only unit is greater than or equal to number 1. Okay. Hit save. Target type unit is greater than 1. Target.life remaining is equal to 1. Any unit. Okay. And that looks good. Save. Okay. And let me go back and just double check that previous ability, status effect. That was the support heavy metal solo. Yep, I was using life remaining. Good. So we have the same conditions. Okay, now we can go back to the units. And I'm going to go to my Marauder Medalist. And here we are. Let's remove this old solo one. And now, there we go. Okay, Armor 2, Rally, Marauder. All Marauders gain +1/+1. Destroy units with 1 life. Okay, excellent. And let's see if I can just move this thing down. There we go. Cool. All right, so we need to make this new Rally a keyword so that it'll show up in the descriptors. So what I'm going to do is hit save. I'll go back. I'm going to go to my keywords. All right, and it's going to be similar to Warcry. So what we're going to do is copy that. I'll call this Rally. Okay. Triggers effect when unit of type X enters play. Okay, that's how we're going to describe this ability. Okay, and hit save. All right, now what's cool about the card engine or my game engine is that now that I've defined the keyword, it will automatically detect that keyword and find it in the card, and then it will show a descriptor text for it. So we should now see that that word shows up as bold, and it does. Armor 2, Rally, Marauder. All Marauders gain +1/+1. Destroy units with 1 life. Okay, so he's ready to test, although I've got to adjust his stats because 3 and 6 is not all that great for a Guardian level character, because in our game, any character that costs mana 4, and our card mana costs range between 0 and 5, and you generate 3 per turn, and you store up to 5 in your mana store. 4 is therefore a very expensive card, but we have the option to configure battle parties, and a character with the 4 is significant because those are considered Guardian class units, and you can choose a Guardian class unit to start the battle with you. So you get to have both your summoner, your main character who represents your caster and plays all your cards, and then 2 Guardian units that accompany you at the start of every battle, and as well as carry on your adventures and such with you. So the Marauder Medalist is in fact a Guardian class unit, and so we want to give him some appropriate stats to be on par with our other Guardians. So I'm going to scan real quick and think about what some appropriate stats should be. So the Marauder Warlord is 3/8. And 8's not necessarily a very high stat for a Guardian, but because of the armor 3, he's well compensated for that. I'm trying to look at what's Marauder Medalist. He is a 6. Yeah, so I definitely think that he should be an 8 as well. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that his power is going to trigger on himself as well. So he's going to automatically boost up to a 4/9 when he comes into the battlefield. I'm trying to think if that makes sense for him. Or if I want to have him be a 3. Yeah, so he's a 3/8. Let's make the Medalist be a power 2. So what's actually going to happen is when he enters the battlefield, he'll transform automatically into a 3/9. And what's really cool about that is he synergizes with the Warlord. So if you take them both, he's going to have even better starting stats. And if you build a deck specifically around Marauders, he becomes really powerful with the rest of them, since his power will also work on himself. We may decide to change that. If that's the case, then we may change it. But right now, as written, all Marauders gain his power. So let's go ahead and we are ready to test him out. Let's go to Maps. Let's go to Procedural 2. Okay. And looks like we still had some of our things in here from last week. I want the Marauder Medalist. Marauder Medalist, there he is. And let's throw in a deck that I know has Marauders in it, which would be the, what do we call it here? Pyromaniacs, they have Marauders. Okay. And you know what, let's go ahead and test it with the Marauder Warlord too. Let's just see what happens. Alright, so let's fire it up. Okay, cool. Well, it looks like his power worked as expected, with the exception that he only used it once, which I had expected him to use it twice. Okay, so he got +2/+2 when a Marauder entered the battlefield, which was him, so that buffed up the Warlord immediately. And then he also got the +1/+1 from the Marauder Medalist, which was expected. But I guess I had expected that the Marauder Medalist would have buffed himself twice. Once for himself entering the battlefield and once for the Marauder Warlord into the battlefield. So there's something there I need to investigate a little more closely. But let's I'm going to turn on some test options here for us to be able to do this a little bit more clearly. So now I've got my full deck available to drop in cards. Alright, so here's Marauder. We're going to see if he uses his guitar solo again. So they both triggered their rally abilities, and they all got +1/+1 again. So he did get +1/+1 from that. That was expected. So the only question is why he didn't gain his initial boost. We'll do some testing to see if we can narrow down why that may not have triggered initially. But we also need to test out the lesser creatures theory here. So before we do that, let's we need to deal 2 damage to this snake. That squirrel is also a 1/1 incidentally, so let's come over here. Okay. So these guys both have 1 life. Let's see if the Marauder's power works with the guitar solo destroying them. Alright, here we go. Awesome guitar solo! And they just died, as was promised with his ability. So that is also functional. It's kind of fun. Probably could use some little VFX there to surface what's happening with that. I could think of some fun ways to do that. We might use that VFX I had added for the Witness Me one. I'm curious if that would be the right way to do it now. I'll think about that. Just so there's a little VFX with it. But it appears he's working. That's what we wanted to do. So the only question now is why did he not trigger his ability twice? Let's see what happens when we make 2 Marauder Medalists. This could just be an issue with triggers not happening. So he triggered his ability. And he triggered his ability. Oh. Interesting. So in this case, they both got +2/+2. So why didn't they both trigger their ability? All right, so maybe the problem is that the Marauder Warlord's not actually Marauder. Let's take a look. That could be he is Marauder. Interesting. I'm not quite sure what's happening here. So we should have expected him to play his guitar twice. Once for himself entering the battlefield, and once the other one. Let's take a look and see what we got here in the log. I'm just curious as to how this triggered. So okay, Marauder Medalists buff Marauders on Marauder enter grid triggers, and then resolves. Oh, interesting. Oh, let's see. Oh, the game started. Here we go. And then Marauders buff Marauders on Marauder enter grid resolves, and then it. Oh, I think I understand what's happening. I wonder if they are in fact buff. It's just no, he's not buffed twice. So I'm curious as to why I didn't trigger him twice. Buff Marauders on Marauder enter to grid. Oh, okay, I know what we do. This is triggered abilities. Let's see. I think it's a matter of it's when it's filtering that ability. Buff Marauders. Okay. Yeah, this execute on trigger is not turned on, but I do need that to be not active. Let's try this. If I filter by action targeting, I wonder if that'll fix it. Okay. Let's try it now and see what happens. I want to see him playing the guitar solo twice. Still didn't work. That's okay. I have a better idea for how we're gonna solve this so we can get this wrapped up. What I'm gonna do is buff, leave it as it is. We're just gonna simply change it so that the Marauder Medalist does not buff himself. That's how we're gonna fix it, because I think that actually would be a bit overpowered anyway. And as I was seeing this, it made more sense to me. So target is not equal to target subject ability user. That's how we fix this. Not going to worry about the code, we're just going to fix the ability. So all other Marauders gain +amp, destroy against real knife. That's what we want. Okay. Also, he should probably not target himself for his own solo if he has one life left. Target not equal to target subject ability user. Okay, so Marauder Medalist is not affected by his own guitar playing. He only supports other units now. That probably makes a lot more sense. And that being said, we can go and buff his stats back up. So let's go to units. Let's go to Marauder Medalist. Okay, we're going to give him some better stats now because he won't be getting the buffs as before. He's going to be a 3, and let's see, he's got armor 2. Let me take a look. I think 10 is probably what we want for his value. It's probably a good one. Yeah. Okay, now he's nice and solid. Rally Marauder. All other Marauders gain +1/+1. Destroy against with 1 life. Good. And I think I can move this up. Oh, I do. Okay, let's keep that there. Okay. Let's save. Okay. Now let's go test the Marauder once more. All right. So now Marauders should not be buffing themselves. Good. So he only buffed the chief in this case. So that's still interesting. I'm seeing. I'm still intrigued by this here as to how he. Let me try one more thing. I see. I may have a little bug here where that Warcry ability should not have triggered until the game started. But this one looks like it triggered after. So I may have to go and fix that. I'll put a note for that if there's an issue with that's probably why it wasn't working as before. Bug. Fix battle start order so that Warcry abilities do not trigger until after battle has started. So I think the reason we were seeing that effect happening before was that because that first Marauder Medalist was triggering before the battle started, it was targeting just the one that had entered the battlefield and not everybody else on the board. So I need to make sure the listeners are suspended. I thought I had that fixed, but I may need to do some further investigating there. So I'm just making a note to dig into that later. All right, but I think the Medalist is fully functional now. Let's go ahead and let's test that theory again. Cool. So he is buffing all Marauders and not himself anymore, which is good. Cool. So you saw what happened there. He got his +2/+2 from Marauder onto the battlefield, and then he got his +1/+1 from the Medalist, and he got a +1/+1 from the Medalist. So you can see how the Medalist combined with the Warlord can create a very powerful synergistic deck where these Marauders just become beastly. And also being able to destroy the lesser life forms from the guitar solo is pretty gratifying. Granted, it also will destroy your own. So like if I had my little scroll out here and I were to summon a Marauder, that solo is going to take him down. Where's that Marauder Medalist? A little hard to browse through 20 cards. There we go. Little squirrel's gonna die. I can't handle the guitar solo. Awesome. Okay, so there's that. One thing I had considered doing was I said adding a little VFX to have it, shoot some beams to indicate where his ability is affecting. I'm gonna take a look real quick and just see if I have something that would work for that. The only thing is I don't know if the sound effects are configured. So let's look at that was a downfall ability, which was buff allies. Witness cast. Yeah, I think the problem is I have a hard-coded witness into that thing, so I might have to create another one to do it. Let's leave Marauder Medalist for now. I think that's pretty good. One thing I do want to make sure is that I've added him to the game. Marauder Medalist. So his power is functioning as expected. He is now, yes, I flagged him to functional already. Okay, good. So he will now appear in the next update, which we're going to attempt to do after the stream. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and look at our next card. But first, let me again check our questions for our viewers. All right. Imsakrella says, Ross, will you be doing my version of Chimera or the old one, the one that splits into 3 different units? Because when you play a minion that has Rally, it doesn't activate because that minion wasn't alive and his ability wasn't there yet. Yes, actually, yes. So your question about the Marauder Medalist is correct. And then for the Chimera, so Imsakrella is a member of our Discord. He had suggested an interesting idea about the Chimera. Let's jump to the Chimera so I can show you guys what this guy looks like. Let's see, I think I have him under quad. There he is. So Chimera is a mythological beast that is typically portrayed as having 3 heads, body, head of a lion, a goat head, and also a snake tail. So it's like kind of like a hybrid creature, very terrifying. It seemed appropriate for chaos spell group since it's kind of like a chaotic mix of these different things coming together in an interesting way, which fits with that spell group. And what Imsakrella had suggested on Discord was an idea where when it dies, it actually separates into 3 animals. I really like that because I think that would be a really unique take on the Chimera. Unfortunately, after investigating, I realized I don't have the assets to support a 3-piece separation on defeat, at least not yet. So I won't be able to implement it as such. But there was another part of it that made sense, which was that the idea that each head is contributing to some additional power. And Summoner's Fate Engine does not support the ability for each one to have like an individually targeted piece or anything. It's a cohesive unit, so when it attacks, they all attack in sequence together. But what we're going to do is make it so that it's got the 3 powers that were recommended to represent each of the heads. So put our notes here. It was suggested here, Pierce, which is something we've already used with like the saber-toothed tiger, so that seems appropriate for the lion. Poison is something we've already associated with snakes, so that seems appropriate for snakes. And then there was this idea of the knockback, which I think sounds great for the goat. And so the idea, again, was that we would separate into these 3 animals on death. I won't be able to do that today, but we are going to go ahead and build him as a 3 ability type character. So let's go ahead and add those things to him. Let's take the description off so that this will now show up here. Okay, and those abilities are going to be, we want poison, so that would be an inflict poison. 1. Okay, we want to have a knockback. I think knockback's under abilities. Knockback. Okay, and how much should it knock back? We can make that number any variable now. Right now it'll knock him back 1 space, which may be appropriate since he's got 3 things, so maybe it should just be 1 of each. And then the last one was Pierce, and I believe that Pierce is just here. And there we go. Okay, so now the Chimera will do knockback, Pierce, and inflict poison. Pretty powerful. And we need to think about whether this should be a Guardian class character or a 5 mana cost character, or potentially a 3 cost, depending upon how strong we want to make them. So really it comes down to, if we make him a Guardian, we got to balance him with something like the Chimera, or sorry, the Cocket. Oh, what's the other one we did? Not Chimera. The Manticore. Let's take a look at that real quick. Okay. So Manticore is already in the game. He is a 4 cost. He is a Guardian. He's 3/10. He has flying and inflict poison. So we have to be mindful of that with our Chimera. This is also a neutral unit, so that is another consideration that when we're making the Chimera, he may have potential to be a little stronger because he's spell specific, which means only Chaos Summoners can take him to the battlefield, whereas any summoner can take the Manicorn. He's inflicting a higher poison, but he does not have the Pierce, which means that units with armor can deflect his tail if he's not dealing enough damage to stab him with the poison. All right, so what do you guys in the channel think? Should we be making a smaller cost Chimera? Should we be making a Guardian Chimera, or should we be making a really beefy Chimera for 5 cost? All right, M. Zuccarella says 4 seems good. Okay, when you play a minion that has rally, oh, sorry, we already read that one. 4 seems good. Okay, so if we want to make him a 4, that would be a Guardian class character. Okay, so let's change him to 4. So do that. Before I forget to make him functional, let's save again. Okay, and we need to give him some adjusted stats here. Power of 5 is far too much. Let's bring that down to 3 for starters, so he's comparable to the Manicore. And let's change his life as well. Let's make his life be 10 as well. Okay, so we're going to look at this. This is how I kind of balancing this. Really a way of pro and con. So we had to factor in he's got 3 abilities as opposed to the Manicore's 2. Now, flying is a potent ability because you can use it to get behind units and backstab them, which will prevent counterattack. So that's actually a really strong ability. He's also got higher poison for that amount. These may actually be pretty balanced. I could see arguments to take a Manicore in a poison-focused deck where you want to inflict more poison. But the Chimera is a lot more versatile. The knockback's going to make it so that that's kind of comparable to flying. It's going to push units back, so they won't be able to counterattack. But knockback is also more powerful in a way because you can use it to create combos with other characters. So you get the Chimera, knock back another unit, and then it would trigger a combo attack with that unit. So that's actually a really powerful ability there. The Pierce is obviously great because it takes and negates any armor, but he's dealing less poison than other characters. But given the fact that he's also chaos specific, I think we've got a pretty solid character here. So we could probably go ahead and test him, put him in the build as is, and use this to get some feedback from players if it's too powerful or not powerful enough compared to the Manicore. You guys happy with this? As stated. While waiting for an answer, I'm going to go ahead and get this guy built into the game for testing purposes. Okay, so let's go back to our maps. We always test in that dungeon. Maybe we should test in something different. Let's test down. Let's test on this level. I just want to have something different. Look at that snow. Isn't that great? Fun story about the snow. These are actually particle effects created within our engine. And I use these little markers here to place the VFX markers, which you can see here, to show particle spawn. So these are just emitters that are creating that snow effect on the map you see there. Kind of cool. Okay, test. So we're going to go ahead and get a Chimera into the build. Quad. Chimera. All right, there he is. Pretty sweet. Look at those 3 heads. That's a very nice looking unit. All right, so Pierce and knockback. Let's see. Boom! And poison. Yikes. That was awesome. So got knocked back. It disarmed the shield with the Pierce, went right through and poisoned it. That was pretty sweet. So all of his powers appear to be working, which is great. I love when we can reuse existing things. Very simple and straightforward. Excellent. Okay, good. Cool. I'm also interested you didn't trigger his power, which is correct. Good. I was hoping that would work. All right, let's just take a little momentum here. Marauder. Just looking to see if that Marauder Medalist even bothered to trigger his power. He did not. Cool. Good. Okay, excellent. And is this Marauder Medalist still working? Yay! Okay, cool. So there we go. We got 2 awesome new units of the game. 2 new Guardians for the Chaos faction. That's awesome. All right, let's take a look at our comments. Yes, another card. Yeah, see? Player-inspired designs. I love this. Like, that's why I'm so proud of what we created here with our community, is that players get to have a direct involvement into the game. And obviously when we did our art and conceptions, we had some ideas for things we really liked in the fantasy mythological world. We knew we wanted to feature mythological creatures like a chimera, but I don't have the foresight or the ability to be that creative to design every possible thing. And by involving players in our community to suggest ideas, we get to all pull it together and create and be part of this together. And that's what makes me excited. And so we got to see another player idea, combination of these abilities inspired by Imzakrella here on our stream today, integrated into the game. So I'm so happy about that. It's just really great to see the community be able to participate directly in the design and development of this game. Okay, so we've completed our primary objective here for the game, and now what I'm going to attempt to do is push an update and actually put these cards into the live game right now. Admittedly, I'm a little nervous because this will be the first time we're ever going to do this, and I'm not quite sure how it's going to roll out per se for the different builds. But before the stream today, I did a quick test with a few of the different builds to see if I could get the versioning to show up in the game. And it seemed like it was successful, so we're going to hope that is going to work here when we push this update to the game. So I'll kind of talk to you guys a little bit about how I live service the game. One of the great things about being able to do all the content in an editor like this is that there is no executable code that is required. It's all just data and pure asset files. So what's great about that is I can support the game on various platforms. Most platforms don't support the addition of dynamically added code execution because that presents all kind of security risk where if you're changing code to a program, you may be adding secret permissions or installing weird back-end processes, and it's always best that when you download an app, you know upfront what things the security sandbox that app has access to. So in our case, we don't change any of the game's code. We don't require any additional parameters or permissions on the computer. We can't access anything else. We're simply looking at a file on a server and downloading new content, which is just that, basically text information and graphical assets, downloading to the game folder so the game can now incorporate those new pieces into the game control. Okay, so let's take a look, and yeah, for the dev versus player thing, I think you should run a Mummy Queen Flesh Golem type deck. Do we have players? I'm hoping some of our Discord players that already have the pre-release are watching the stream today and would be interested in playing a game. I'm going to go ahead and query on our Discord real quick just in case anybody's there and would be interested. Let's go to our access here and just say, play a game on our stream, Undertakers, and multiplayer. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hopefully I'll get a response back to that. I'm just playing this up so I can see the notification that comes through. All right, but while we're doing that, we're waiting for players to come join us. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to do this update. So the way this works is we have something called the manifest. Okay, and the manifest is how I control all the different files that get loaded to the game asset-wise. And what I'm going to do here is, this is not even the correct file format. Let's see, I've already set up one of these things here. Let's go to test, DLC, there we go, Control C that, and go to DLC, and then right there. Okay. Let's see. Let's make sure I'm just there we go. Okay. And paste this, replace. Okay. So it's just a simple file that the game reads each time the game starts up, checks the server to see if there are any new files in the DLC folder, validates it against the current client version, which in our case we're on version 29 now. And then normally when I create new client versions, the manifest is reset to version 1. So what I need to do here is tell the server or tell the manifest file that we have an update available on the server, so that when the game boots up and it checks the server manifest, it can compare and see that we've got a new version. So it's a really simple check and balance, and I can identify what's changed here. And in our case, all we're going to need to change is this defs file. So I've already sort of prepared this. We've got version 29. We're going to increment that to version 29.2. And then we're going to go ahead and just tell it that we want a new definitions file to give us access to the new game logic, since these assets are already in the game. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and go to our other folder here where I've got the defs that we just created. So this was just updated today when we did our Chimera. And then I'm going to hit copy and paste it into this server folder we're about to put on the server. Okay, so everything's prepared. I just need to actually, these are just on my local folder. I need to just push these to my FTP so they're live on the website, and the game should update. Before I do that, though, I just want to verify that I've actually, in fact, updated that Chimera. Is he updated? Let's go to our, where are we going here? Units. Yeah, I just want to make sure I did, in fact, add the Chimera. Okay. He is functional. Okay, cool. All right, so we've got the Chimera and the Medalist all set to go. And before we do the push, we're going to go ahead and show you what the process is going to look like. So I'm going to boot up the game itself. And I should have, make sure I've got the latest version of it installed. I think this is the right one. Let's see. Okay, there you go. So version 29. So you saw what just happened there really briefly. It started as client version 29, and then it went to 1. The way my versioning system works is I've got a major client version, which in our case is version 29, currently is the latest version. And then the last number at the end, the minor version, represents the current definitions versioning. So if I make dynamic it's basically the DLC versioning. And typically that's always been 1. We've never had a version that ends in .2 because we've never done a DLC update before. Whenever I do a new client update, I always roll whatever the last DLC is into the client so you don't have to download again. So every time you update the main client, you're getting access to everything available. it's just when we do these server pushes that you need to have the DLC version in there. So for those who haven't seen the game before, this is what it actually looks like when you boot it up. Right now I'm in the campsite, and I wanted to have this feeling created here where it feels like you're sort of at the campfire. I love outdoors, I love campfires. It feels very like you're immersed within the world as opposed to in a series of menus, even though that's technically what we have here is a series of menus, but it feels a little bit more immersive, like you're part of the world. You've got your currently active team, and the team that's seen here would be the one that when we have our desync multiplayer and other people come to battle you at your camp, this is the chosen team that they would be fighting. This is also the team that you take by default when you go into PvP battles, things like that. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to our card collections here, and I'm going to show you what it looks like currently in the version. And we're going to search for the medalist here. Okay. And you see there he is. So currently he's grayed out, and that's because I have not added him to the collection yet. During our pre-release, by the way, all cards are available so that for testing purposes, as long as they've been implemented and are ready to be functional in the game. In this case, in the current version, Marauder Medalist is not. And we're also going to go ahead and look up Chimera to verify Chimera is not available. Okay, so I can't, they're grayed out, I can't choose them, he's listed as coming soon, right? Okay, so what we want to do now is actually go ahead and do a dynamic game update, right? So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and do a server push of those DLC files, and then we're going to have to just restart the game so it can detect the new version and update the content accordingly. Okay, so let's exit. All right, I'm nervous. Again, this is the first time doing this, so let's just, fingers crossed here. I'm just going to go here, refresh, and all I should have to do is push these two files. Okay. Is it working? Okay, those files have been pushed. So now the DLC should be live and active. And we're going to reboot the game again and see if I download the new DLC. Version 29. Okay, I probably should have a better loading system in there for it. But there we go. Version 29.2. So the game has just updated itself. That is pretty cool. Now let's verify it worked. So I should now expect to see that I've got access to, oh, I guess yeah, there we go. All right, so Chimera is our last search unit there. He is now an active unit. We see his powers we just added in the game. And so we have just done our first ever live DLC update. So this will happen automatically. We've already got version 29. This will automatically happen when you play the game. You won't have to install any other updates. It'll automatically pull that new file from the server and add these to the game. And likewise, if I go to the medalist, let's see if we got him in there. And there he is, medalist. Cool. Excellent. That is amazing. Okay. Well, maybe we should build a new deck here to. Oh, I've exceeded the maximum decks. Let's delete one of my illegal test decks. These are characters that aren't technically available. I built these decks when they weren't. There we go. Let's delete my illegal deck. I'm a developer, so I'm entitled to make things that are illegal. All right, let's see. So now we can show you what the deck editor looks like. Oh, I got my sort filter on. I'll turn that off. Boom. Now let's group it by things. Okay, cool. So this is what Summoner's Fate looks like when you build a deck. I say it's a deck builder game. It's also kind of like a CCG game. The difference between the two, a deck builder, you typically build your deck while you're playing, and a CCG, you typically pre-construct your deck before going to matches. Our game is both. During the single player, you'll actually build your deck while you're playing, and it's great because if you're new to CCG games and how to build decks and how to synergize cards, the game will teach you all of that while you're playing, which is fantastic. And we're going to have a very special look at that on Friday. We've got a promotion we're doing with ATEC Gaming. I'll be a guest on their stream channel, and that'll be on 7 o'clock p.m. Mountain Time on Friday. It's on our stream calendar. But we'll be doing a walkthrough of the game, and you can kind of see what our single-player adventures look like and how the deck building actually is integrated to the gameplay process. But here, we're just going to go ahead and show you the pre-constructed deck, so you can also do that too, which is great if you want to build decks specifically for just battling the AI or battling in multiplayer. Okay, and so let's go ahead and we're going to make use of some of those new cards that we've created today. So I think it would be appropriate to choose the Pyromancer. Okay, and now we can go to our Guardians. And so because we've chosen the Summoner here, I guess I should explain. I've got placeholder art in here right now, but these symbols would represent the different schools of magic. We're going to have our art team, of course, create an appropriate icon that looks like a big fiery ball or something to represent the chaos spells, and then another thing to represent celestial. But in our game, kind of like in other card games, they typically have restrictions on the different colors you can take based on things like lands or class. Our game does it based on the summoner, and right now all of our summoners have dual colors, and you can choose to take any spells of the same colors that you see on their card, plus free will. And we have 6 magic types. The magic types are based on aspects of the universal creation theory for our world. And in Summoner's Fate, the world was born from the void, which sprung chaos and was brought to order by divine conscious, and arcane is like the gravitational, physical forces of reality. Nature is the aspects that once the world is created, things kind of take over on their own. It's kind of like a cool philosophical thing. I'm a philosophy major, if you didn't know that, so I dig all kinds of theories about mythology and the creation of the universe, and really wanted to kind of tie some of that into the game's backstory, I guess. But for our purposes, we'll be able to take Chaos and Celestial cards. So now you'll see I've got some new choices here I didn't have before. Chimera, Medalist. And maybe for this deck, we want to make a Marauder deck. So let's go ahead and pick Marauder Medalist, Marauder Warlord. And we'll find a way to tie that Chimera in there too, just because he's a new character and that'd be fun to throw him in. Okay, so cards now. All right, so we know we want to take a Chimera. Now, Guardians are restricted to 1 per deck, whether they're in your starting roster or not. Now I've got 19 more card slots, so we want all the Marauders we can get. Acolytes. This character is fun. Downfall. Visible allies get +1/+1. Witness me! Let's get a couple of those in there. And then we've got 2 different Marauders we can take. So we're going to take this Marauder. And then we've got another skin for one, so we can take another one. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Marauders in this deck. That is a good number of summons. Okay, so now I've got to think about some other things we want to have in our deck. We've got the Chimera. We probably want some spells. So let's take and filter down. We've got enough characters. Let's look at just spells right now. Okay, so Cleansing Fire is a spell that removes status effects and also can heal chaos units. Let's take one of those. It's great if somebody gets mind controlled or poisoned. We can use it to kind of heal them. I love the Conflagration spell. It's great at destroying things in the board, although in our case we may not really need that spell since we've got our Medalist doing the work with his awesome soloist. So maybe something different. Chain Lightning. This was a spell that we created, another player-inspired idea. Thank you, Log and Error on the Discord, for the very fun challenge we had making this in our very first episode of Develop with Ross. I'm going to take a couple of those. That's a really fun card. Detonate's a great one. Basically turns any character into like a suicide bomber, I guess. They can blow up and deal damage when they die. Let's take one of those. Let's see here. Fireball is the staple of every Pyromancer deck. Let's see here, what else we got. Ooh, Giant Meteor. This is another new spell that we created on the stream previously. It's great because it's got that knockback, which is awesome for combos. Let's take one of those. Okay, let's see what else we got. Spoil the Surprise. This is a great card. It acts both as a counter spell and also as a way to counter other surprises. So it's kind of like a multi-function card. Also very fun. We're going to take that. Okay, and now see if we got any other comments from people on the stream watching. If you guys have any thoughts on other things you want me to put in this deck, just let me know. I'm going to take a, let's see, I want some good healing spells in here. Let's get a good heal major wounds, recover 10 life is a great one to have. I love the Guardian Angel card, one of my favorites. It's a great protection spell, and it also summons a character, so kind of a fun thing when an enemy targets you for any kind of attack or spell, the Guardian Angel falls from the sky and then takes whatever that is on your behalf. and defends you. It's just a really fun card. I'm gonna put that in there. Okay. Hyperspeed is great. Move double distance. It also makes the animation super hyped up. And then what's some other good spells we could take? I feel like a Bloodlust, make these Marauders just really beefy is going to be the theme of this deck. Just crazy fast, beefy Marauders. I like this spell a lot. This is another great protection spell, Cover with Shadows. It's great because if you get attacked, it will protect you in stealth for the duration of the turn. Okay, one more card. Let's see, what do we want to take for the last one? I feel like I want to have at least one more destruction spell of some kind. Maybe one more fireball. There we go. Okay. And we are going to finalize this deck. And so now I can go ahead and customize by giving it a name. We'll call this the something with Marauders. The Manic Marauders. I like to end my decks with exclamation points. I don't know. We can also choose the first turn bid, which is how badly we want to get first turn. I think for this deck, since our average mana was 2.3, 1 would be good, which means we could probably cast at least one spell on our first turn, and getting first turn in this game is very important. So we'll bid 1 for first turn. And now we can kind of just use this to browse through, and kind of cool, you can see your entire deck at a glance here, all the cards you have in it. Turn the filter off so you can see the whole deck. So there's every card that's in the deck. Kind of a neat way to be able to view your cards. I put this feature in because I like the idea of, when I played physical card games, laying all my cards in a mattress, I could kind of really scrutinize what was in my deck and really think about all the possible ways that things could be combined. But this is a very, very synergistic deck, just given all the Marauder connectivity here. It's going to be very, very powerful. Okay, so this deck is officially good to go, and it will save automatically when I quit out. And now I can actually go into my decks here and should be able to check that. And now we've got our Marauder deck ready to play. Fantastic! So let's go and test it and see if anybody else is available to play online. If not, we'll do a battle against the AI to showcase everything. And the recent update, we added a feature here to kind of tie in our Discord, which is how we're currently connecting our community together while we're in pre-release, hoping to get other players interested and connected and talking to each other on our Discord. We'll just go ahead and check out a message on Discord. Let's see. Anyone's here? Excellent. Ping once again. See if anyone else will join. Anyone here? Our latest DLC. Using the cards. I'm just typing a message on Discord. Anyone here want to play a game? In the queue now with our latest DLC, using the cards I just created on the screen. All right, so we'll see if anyone's here and wants to try a game with us. Anyone else messaging on Twitch here while we're watching? Okay. Well, I will see if anyone else responds on that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and try out our new deck versus the AI. Oh, this is going to be really fun. So it looks like we got paired with the Pyromancer AI deck, which also features Marauders, which means there's going to be all kinds of crazy Marauder happenings. All these Marauders are going to buff each other. It's going to be nuts. Let's give it a go. Uh-oh. It's never going to start with okay. Start a game. That's a bug report. I have no idea what caused that bug. Yeah, that's too bad. Okay, let's see this battle. I'm not sure what happened there. That could be a result of an ability we broke in the DLC with those new cards. I'm not entirely sure. That's why it's always risky to push development things to development that aren't tested. But hey, that's why we're in pre-release, right? To get all these issues worked out before the live release. Let's restart the game and see if we can try this again and not get an error this time. I'm not entirely sure why that happened. It's possible that the AI doesn't gel with the sync issues. So let's go ahead and try to do a battle once again. And if we get the same error, then I'm going to just kill that DLC. Player versus I. Okay, let's see what happens here. So based on that error, my best guess as to what's happening is that because the AI, I programmed it to work on a separate backworker, I don't think I've handled the ability for the AI to load the DLC definition, so it's probably desyncing because I, the player, am using the latest version, but the AI is not. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to pull that DLC. We're going to attempt to do that now. Let's delete these things. And hopefully nobody else has downloaded DLC at this point. Do you want to delete these files? Yes. Okay, now you got update sync this. Synchronize with remote server. Yes. Delete. Okay, cool. Delete files. Yes. Okay, cool. So that will take care of the DLC, fixing it so that we don't have to worry about other players downloading the bug DLC until I have a chance to look into that further and fix that. So good to know. That's why I'm glad we tested it, and also good that nobody else downloaded the DLC yet. So that way we know that we're not infecting anyone else's build with the DLC at this point. So I will, of course, investigate that offline and figure out how to get the AI to appropriately read those DLC files so that they will not create those sync errors in the game, because we do not want to have people not able to play against the AI in the live game. Cool. All right, well, we've still got about an hour here to make cards, so I think what we'll do now is maybe pull up the backlog. There's a few we didn't finish from last time, so let's go take a look and see what else we can make today. So let's see, I've got these under events, and I've got them under, I believe, episode 2 is where we had a big chunk of cards. Yes, this is where we had our cards at. So it looks like we have a couple cards we didn't create from last time. We're going to focus on these instead. Skeleton Count and Crumble. Let's start with the Crumble. This is a card that destroys obstacles and blows up and deals damage around them, surrounding units. So let's go ahead and make that card. Okay, spells. Let's go to the Crumble. All right, so first things first. Originally, this card was meant to be sort of like I pictured like a wall, and the spell is going to make it kind of age, and then the bricks are just going to fall over. But when the our team came back, they had this kind of more like blast-looking image, and hence my idea. Like originally, it was going to just destroy the obstacle, but then I thought, hey, if it's going to blow it up like that, it should probably do some damage. So the first thing is that the name no longer makes sense. So let's change it to something more appropriate. We're going to call this spell Demolish instead, to kind of indicate it's just blowing this thing up. I would have used Detonate, but we already have a spell for that, so we're going to call this one Demolish. I like it. It kind of goes the theme of like, TNT on a building, taking it down, blowing it up. Right. Okay. And what this needs to do is destroy it and deal 3 damage to all units. So we've already got the destroy obstacle attribute programmed, it looks like. Now we need to go ahead and add one that's going to do the damage to surrounding units, right? So let's do the set attribute. No, it's subtract from attribute. Life remaining. And I want to do 3 is the magic number for this one. And this is going to be on secondary target, right? Okay, we need to add secondary targeting to it. So we want this secondary targeting to be surrounding primary target. And deal 3 damage to all units. Excellent. Let me just check that real quick, make sure I didn't. Cool. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Subtract from life attribute remaining on 3. Okay. Okay. So this needs to be target subject. Actually, this is probably fine as is. I think this can just be unit. We want this to also blow up tiles. I'm thinking like grass tiles. Let's say this is unit or space for now. Okay. Visible unit that is a placeable surrounding target primary unit or space, blow it up. I think that looks correct. It's cast spell, has the crumble icon, set attribute pending one destroy. And this should be on primary target. We don't want to kill everything else. Okay, so that should be pretty straightforward. Let's make this card functional as well and save that. And that's now called demolish. Now, one thing I do want to get is that explosion effect. And I can grab that from the detonate spell has that. Where is that at? Status effect triggered detonate. Alright, I need to go figure out what that VFX is, so we can get it to the VFX we want. Detonate, detonate, detonate. Ability. Where did you see that one? Here we go. Downfall detonate. That's where we need to go. Trigger effect. What I'm doing right now is just going and looking for the VFX we used. Oh, okay, cool. So I'm going to write some things down. We're going to add trait fire to the spell, so it does fire damage. Seems appropriate. Looks like it's just using the fireball animation to do the explosion. Looks like we can use this as the charge. Sound effects. Okay. Good, 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 good. Okay, cool. Let's go back to that spell. Spell, and we want demolish again. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is do SFX charge is burning touch. Cast is fireball animation. And anything else we had to add? Oh, we want to add fire damage to it. Fire damage. Traits. It's type damage, I think. I have a damage type. Here we go, fire. Okay. Alright, destroy target obstacle, deal. Okay, this should be, I want this to be damage. Right. There we go, deal 3 damage to all units surrounding it. And we just say everything. Okay. And we also want this to say fire damage, so is that subtype? I'm trying to remember how I do fire damage. Let's see, what's the keyword for that? I need to go to fireball, maybe? Ah, tags, that's how we do it. Okay. There we go. Destroy target obstacle, deal 3 fire damage to everything surrounding it. Okay. That spell should be good to test. Okay. Let's go back. Dex. Let's just throw in our big meteor test, and we'll call this, just leave it there, that's fine. Let's do spell. I'm going to test out demolish. Update. Booyah. Save that. Okay, now we need to go test this on a map that's got something to demolish on it. It's a map that's got something to demolish. So we'll go, I know which map we're going to do. We're going to try doing this on a map like Dreadnought Dungeon. Yeah, I want to see if I can blow up the spike cube. Because normally that's an indestructible object. So let's see if we can do that here. Big meteor test. Start game. Okay. Alright, so excellent. I can target the object, and you can see it's got the radial effect showing the area of effect where the explosion will take place. That one's kind of fun because it's it's a multi-dimensional object, and it's targeting it from there, which is cool. Let's put a character next to it and see if it's going to. I want to see that blow up this cube. All right, that worked. I love it when things work the first time. We've never had it this easy. Let's try blowing this thing this way. Very cool. Okay, now let's see if it also blows up the grass. If we had grass here, it should blow the grass off of the thing too, which is fun. Let's see what happens here. Excellent, and it blows up grass tiles too. That's fun. So it's functioning as expected. Cool. So it probably needs a better animation. I feel like that really should just be like an explosion that's triggering from the thing itself. But again, right now in early access, we're focused purely on getting the functionality in there so we can test the gameplay aspects of the card, and we'll of course do a full polish pass in VFX later. But that spell looks like it's fully functioning as expected. Pretty cool. All right. Excellent. All right, M. Zacarella says, what do you think of my ideas of you and Kelly as cards? Kelly, the Immortal Reanimator, 1 mana, 2 power, 2 life, unique Warcry, summon a 1/1 copy of a friendly minion that died this turn. Downfall, shuffle this back into your deck. Wow, that'd be really cool. And then Ross, the Immortal Inventor, 2 mana, 2 power, unique Warcry, gain a copy of a card in your deck. Downfall, shuffle this back in your deck. Oh, those are really cool abilities. Yeah, that's interesting. Very cool. Yeah. We've got a great backlog of cards coming in from Imzacrelli. He's been a great participator on our Discord. So thank you so much for suggesting those. I'll be sure to catalog those in our notes to look at again later when we're ready to start getting some new concept art for cards ready. That's excellent. Okay. Now that we've got that card working, let's go back to our backlog and see if we can get the next one working. We've got the Skeleton Hound is our next target unit to create. So we're going to go ahead and try and create this unit, which is supposed to gain +1/+1 for each surrounding undead. That's going to be a fun one to create. Okay, so let's back out of this. Units, Skeleton Hound. Actually, some of the quads. I have all these things organized under animation types. Here he is. Okay, so I have his stub already in place here. Got the right stats, 2, 3. Yeah, that's what we want to do. Okay, so we got to give him a Warcry. Gain +1/+1 for each surrounding undead. That's going to be an interesting one. So we're going to have to have a way of counting the surrounding undead. Oh man, I'm trying to think how I'm going to do that. We need to be able to count the surrounding undeads and add it for +1/+1 for each. How do I count the surrounding undeads? That's going to be an interesting one. Yes. Okay, give me more to think here. I got this property here I've created for such a thing called dynamic values, which is a way to trigger things based on a number of things that have been created. I don't know if I've got a way to do it based on surrounding though, because these are all targeting. Oh no, wait. Maybe we could do it this way. Let's try that. All right, so let's see if we can. Let's create a new one that says num surrounding undead. Okay. Starting a set. Units in play. Property type. We just want to do a count. So I want to count the number of units in play, and these need to be surrounding, so target subject, target. Do I have a way to say surrounding? Ah, yes, I do. It is surrounding. Target subject, ability user. This may in fact work, we'll see. Target subject, target, property. We want traits here is an undead. It's greater than or equal to number 1. Okay, so we're going to do a dynamic count. Units in play is count the number of surrounding undead units. Okay, so we've created a dynamic number. All right, now I think I could be able to create this pretty easily if that actually would work. And this is a Warcry ability, so let's look at one of our existing Warcries. Okay, Warcry. Okay, let's ally animals gain +1/+0. Okay, I'm trying to think which one I'm going to clone it off of here. Let's clone it off of this one. Warcry. Buff self. Buff self by undead counts, we'll call that. Okay. Okay. All right. So when the activator is the ability user, so when the ability user is added to grid, that's the right condition for Warcry, we're going to execute this effect. The target for this effect is going to be the ability user, the person who's using it. And we want this to say, how do we word that? Gain +1/+1 for each surrounding undead. So let's change it to say that. +amp for each surrounding undead. Okay. We've already got our +1. We want this to be not +1/+0, but we want it to be +1/+1 and not temporary. So let's say that. Okay. And okay. Now we don't need conditions in this case, because it's only going to target itself. But we do need to change this value. So this needs to be a dynamic value, and this needs to be numbers surrounding undead that we just created. And that's it. Okay. That should do it. Let's take and see if that works. Okay. Let's go to our units. Quad. Undead. Skeleton. Okay, let's delete this. And then let's put in the trigger ability, which is Warcry. Buff self by unit undead count. Shouldn't have anything. Oh, interesting. Gain +1/+1 for each surrounding undead. That is correct. I'm trying to think if that should work. Okay, let's save that. Let's go test the little doggy. Oh, we need to put him in a deck. Let's put him into the. Let's put him into our big meteor test. Let's replace the big meteor. Spell. I want a unit, and I want the dog. Quad. Where is he? Where is that little doggy? Skeleton Hound. Let's put 2 of them in there. So we try them together. Let's remove the cleanse. Let's save. Let's go back to our maps. Let's go to procedural 2. Okay, let's test it here. And let's give ourselves some, what we should have done was give ourselves some skeletons. Let's go back one more time. I want to give myself, let's give it just one of these. And let's add a skeleton card so we've got some spells. Skeleton card. Skeleton warriors. There we go. So now we can summon some skeletons and make sure he's buffing according to the number of surrounding undeads. Okay, let's give it a whirl. Let's go to procedural 2. We'll test it here. And start game. Okay. So what we're going to do is walk up here. Put some skeletons down. Okay, so now let's see if he does his Warcry. Whoa! Heck yeah, he did his Warcry, but he gave the buff to everybody. That is not what we wanted. That's not what we wanted at all. That's a very bad dog. Bad dog. Oh, it's okay. You're just bones. It's okay. We'll fix you. We'll fix you. Out of curiosity, though, let's just see if it is, in fact, counting correctly. Let's put some more skeleton warriors down. I don't think it should matter if they're allied or not, so let's see if it does +4/+4. Oh, yeah. So the dynamic counter is working, and that's actually a good thing because that was the number I was really worried about. The piece of the coding I was actually worried about. This other part, I think we can fix. Let's go back to that ability. Trigger abilities. Let's go to the dog. So we call it Warcry. Buff self. Okay, so this is interesting because I have the targeting set to only target ability user. So why the heck why was it able to target everybody? That's very intriguing. Oh, what's this? Designate all targets. That was the problem. Okay, there we go. That should fix it. Okay, let's try again, little doggy. Now you won't be so OP. Once again, summon some skeletons. So he should only get +1/+1 if I put him over here. No, it's still doing it to everybody. That's not what we want. Something is dead wrong there. What is happening here? What is happening with that? I don't know. Buff self-bind dead count. Okay. Ability user. See, this is throwing me off because according to this should only be targeting the ability users. Somehow, it's targeting all units. Let's change this to self. Let's see if that happens. And then I will have to investigate why that's happening because this is not supposed to be able to target everybody. Okay, let's just put another note in our bugs. Bug. Trigger effect for target method type ability user is targeting all units for the skeleton hound ability. That's just something I need to investigate later because according to how it looks like it's written now, I should be expecting that only the ability user is targeted by this ability, even though it had a target of any unit. But for now, we're going to change this to self, which I believe should auto-correct that. Yeah, that's very strange. There must be something broken with this, so I'll have to look into that and see if I can figure out why that's doing that. Okay, let's try again. There we go. Good dog. Good dog. Good boy. +2/+2. Cool. All right. That is a fun character. He's just a little doggy, 2/3, but man, if you put him next to some skeletons, he can be very, very powerful for 1 mana. Wow, actually, that's kind of thinking that's really good. 4/5. And that was just somebody next to 2 skeletons. I imagine if you had like the Skeleton Nightmare card and played this character, you could do some devastating effects. Let's demonstrate that. All right, let's go back to Big Meteor Test. So using this one, let's use the, I'm looking for my, what's it called? Skeleton Legion. Let's try that instead. There we go. Maps. So if you're a really clever player, you could potentially get up to +8/+8 on this little dog. Wow. All right, so let's say I was over here and I had summoned this first. I guess I'd have to move over here. I guess the most you could potentially get in the dog would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, +7/+7. If I was clever enough to set up a situation where I've got 7 undead surrounding a space and myself surrounding the other, and I were to summon them like this, I now have a massive 9/10 for a mere 1 mana cost. But granted, that combo required having this setup here. So that's kind of the idea, is that the Skeleton Hound is meant to synergize with the other undead decks. Now, he may be OP'd as is, depending upon how easily that situation is to set up. I have a feeling that this particular combo is not easy to set up, because you've got to play a card like that or have skeletons on the board. And if you've already got this many skeletons, you're deserving of getting a massive creature for your efforts. So this is another cool way. It kind of breathes additional new life into the Necromancer, Lich King themed decks that are about summoning skeletons, because now you've got a way to reap way further benefit from your work. And skeletons are kind of cool because in a lot of the cards, use them as resources. You've got cards like our Sacrifice that can be used to destroy them and gain back health. You've got cards that can be used to sacrifice them to gain mana back, sacrifice them to cause damage to other things. They're just good units in general. All kinds of cool powers. You got cards like the Skeleton Captain that synergize with the skeletons and make them get additional buffs. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited by that skeleton hound power. That's really fun. Now, one thing I did notice though, he doesn't have a little howl sound going on. So let's give that to him because he deserves to have a little bark with that. Let's go to our units. Let's go to quads again. I think we just take and borrow the wolf sound for now. So what did I do for the wolf? Oh yeah, death, sad dog growl, and cast wolfhound. Okay. Let's give that to the skeleton hound too. Summon. Cast. Okay, so we want the wolf cast. Wolf howl for his cast. There we go. And then for his death, we're going to do the sad puppy growl. Let's see. Sad. Can't remember where I have that. Let's see if we find it. There it is. Okay. There we go. Okay. So now it usually be a little more fun. It uses a little bark power when it comes into play. Interesting. He gave that power to himself. That's not intended. We've got to fix that. See? It's good we test things. I like to find the proper thing. So what we need to do is change the dynamic value. Number of surrounding dead, we don't want to count the current user. Target subject, target is not equal to target subject ability user. He should not gain power being next to himself. So let's try that again. Okay. Huh, he's still getting +1/+1. It's weird. He should not have been getting. Should not have triggered. Oh, what's happening here? How much are we getting here? So that's actually interesting. In this case, he was correct. He gained 5 because there's 5 surrounding. But when he came out by himself, he gained +1, which is really strange. I'm curious as to why that dynamic number didn't default to 0. Because I guess technically it should have done something, but I expected it to do +0/+0, if anything. Let's see if we can look at that again, figure out why that might be happening. Warcry. What was the one we used for him? Buff self. Dead count. Yeah, so let's take a look. +1/+1 to dynamic value surrounding undead on target. Interesting. Interesting. So the dynamic value should have been 0, which. I know what the problem is. The problem here. The problem is that my dynamic value, or my amplitude, amplitude in my game is a way I use to scale values like status effects and powers and abilities. But in the code, I already know the bug. It's that I ignore amplitudes when the value is 0. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I'm not going to get into specifics for it. That's going to be a major investigation to change that. So we won't do that in the stream here, but that's the bug. It's got to do with the amplitude not supporting a value of 0. So I'll have to make a special exception to allow amplitude 0 when the value coming in is a dynamic value. That's going to be a little bit of extra work there. So let's put a note in there and just say, bug, we currently don't support amplitude 0 modifiers in the status effects. Resolution should be, I need to be able to check for a dynamic value as condition. So I had this on my to-do list as another thing, but really we don't want this ability to even trigger if there's no surrounding undead. So what there should be is a condition that checks to see if the number of surrounding undead is greater than 0 in the first place, and that would fix this problem. But currently, I don't have a way to actually add a dynamic value as a condition, only as an effect value. So I can't do that yet. And again, that's quite a bit of work that'll take more than what we've got left in the stream here. So we won't worry about that for now. But aside from that, the undead skeleton hound is in fact working. So I'll have to go back and add that condition to him once that's fixed. Okay, so we'll save that. Okay, cool. So that took care of that. Kind of exciting. So we managed to get, what, 4 cards working today? That's our top record we've been able to do. And I've got all the cards here in the backlog created. We still can't do Cat of 9, which was the one from last week we tried to do because I have not yet gone through and added the recursive checks in place for fixing that. So I think that is probably all the cards we'll have to worry about for today. Take a look at our stream here and see we've got some new people joining. Hey, Maltros is here. Hello, hello. Hello, Maltros. Thanks for joining the stream. Glad to have you here. We have got just about a half hour left, and maybe I was hoping we could do is play some battles. If you'd be interested in playing a battle with me on our stream, give me a thumbs up if that's the case. Kind of showcase a little bit about how this game has come together, talk a little bit to that, be kind of fun. But before I can do that, I've got to go ahead and destroy my old DLC because I, of course, bugged it earlier in the stream when I desynced it. So I need to go ahead and fix that really quick. Summoner's Fate, Level Store. I just need to delete my DLC folder. Bad DLC. Okay. And do we have a taker? Yeah, no problem. That'd be awesome, huh? Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and fire up a game then. We're going to play. Unfortunately, my intent, Meltros, as I explained earlier today, was that we would be able to use the new cards I made in the stream right here and now, but I had not accounted for the fact that the AI can't use it. So currently DLC bugs the game, so I had to uninstall the DLC. But let's go ahead and play a game. All right, and welcome new folks joining the stream. Glad to have you here with us. So I probably don't want to use this deck I just built because this deck is now illegal. Those cards should not be allowed. In fact, I believe if I go back into here, I should even be able to see that my current team is, yes, good. All right, so I'm back on the old version, which is good. Okay, we'll try a different deck. We're going to try, let's try the Gates of Fates deck. This deck is all about summoning big monsters, so we'll try that one on Maltros. Okay, let's see here. Excellent. Okay, Maltros, I am going to join the queue here so we can play a game together. And let's go ahead and do this. I'm excited to play. This is my first game streaming, playing multiplayer. I guess so. I've only streamed development so far, so now we're taking a little time to enjoy the work we've created and have some fun with our players and our community on the stream today. Dun, 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 dun. Waiting for player. I'm in the queue, but not finding for some reason. Okay, Maltros, I'm going to direct you to show you how to check your version. Back out of that, go to Settings, and go to Game Options. You want to make sure that you're using version 0.29.1. And just as a precaution, I'm going to go ahead and DM you the appropriate download location for this on Discord. There you go. All right, let's see what Maltros says. So you're able to check your version number and see if you're on version 29.1, and if not, I just sent you a message on Discord with the game update download, so you can download and play on version 29. The multiplayer server does have checks and balances to make sure both players are running the same versions, because any kind of mismatch in definitions or game logic would of course result in desynchronization while playing. Okay, he is not. 1 sec. Okay, great. Well, while we're waiting for Maltros, we'll just sit here at our campfire, warm our hands by the fire. I have plans at some point to make it so that the environment here will be dynamic with the weather outside. I've got a snow map. Maybe it's snowing because right now in Utah it's snowing, or not snowing, but the weather was pretty bad. Roads out there were bad today. A lot of snow on the ground. So maybe in the future it'll be snowing. Um, the latest version, I've also you see some other changes. If you're familiar with our game from before, you might have noticed this used to be called the store. And since the game is kind of changing to a premium model from the free-to-play, I didn't really feel it appropriate to have store as the big thing sitting here. So we're changing this to something called the hub. And what this is going to be basically be is a place for communicating with the community. And it'll be like a link to your forums. So you can automatically log into forums at some point. It'll hopefully integrate with Discord for chatting. You can see things like our ever-changing adventures and kind of what our plans are for those in here. So this is kind of one of the cool new things we're working on. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to also do direct communications with players. And of course, at some point, we are going to have paid DLC as well, but that'll be well after the game's worldwide launch because we want to create a fully packaged, delivered premium experience. Imzacrola asks, how will you unlock cards from the core set? That's a great question. So I mentioned during the pre-release, the way we're handling it is that every card in the collection that is implemented is available so that we can test all the cards before release. When the game is out, what we're going to do is lock all the cards, and then there'll be a progression upgrade path. So it's not going to be, you won't be buying the cards with microtransactions. When you get the game, you get access to everything. What will happen is that on your adventures, as you're playing the game, you're going to find the cards within dungeons and pick them for your deck. And then your goal is going to be to survive the adventure. And the adventures are kind of like a procedurally generated rogue-like experience, I guess you could say. And when you survive and beat the adventure, you get to reap all the rewards you found along your adventure. So but that's all you get the cards. And there may be some like, what would we describe it as? Like merchants within the adventures, but this would be more like the blacksmith in an RPG selling you weapons, kind of a thing. And you'll be able to use gold, because there'll be gold you find in the campaign. These are all just kind of traditional RPG things. And you can also use those to buy the cards from merchants in the game or unlock them. But that won't be tied to any kind of grind currency or real-time currency. These will all be like in-game, fully inclusive type things. Random dungeons for the win. That's so cool. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Just going to check on Maltros here. Were you able to successfully get the new version of the build? Are you ready for me to try joining the battle? Just go ahead and shout out here on Twitch or ping me on Discord when you're ready so I know. I guess while we're getting ready, we're going to take a look. I'm going to show you this deck I built. This is a custom deck I made. And this deck is called Gates of Fate, and it's using a combination of large creatures. Like I have 2 red dragons in there, which are big creatures, very hard to get out normally, but I'm supplementing it with cards like the Gate of Fate, which is a low-cost card that creates portals. And my hope is that I can place a bunch of these portals to some of these big giant creatures and just absolutely crush the opposition with my big overwhelming creatures for low cost, assuming my gates don't get destroyed. So these are kind of a fun play on that. We've got some surprises in here as well, and some other fun cards like the Dark Temptation. This is another card we built together on the stream a couple weeks ago, I think, where you can gift your enemy with some armor in exchange for taking control of them on a future turn, which is kind of fun. Okay. Still waiting for Maltros there to respond back, so that's kind of what's in that deck. Yeah, just kind of browse this game, give people a chance to really soak in all the fun. We've got the Mountain Troll. He's one of my favorite characters. I just really love the art in this guy. Really like, he's got like that, I don't know, kind of friendly face for a troll. It just makes me happy seeing him open his mouth like that. I don't know. It's kind of fun. I've always loved trolls in games. They're always a fun character, big brutish type of thugs. Not particularly bright, but good at smashy things. Here, Red Imp is another fun character. He's another character we built on a stream together this past month. He's just all about causing chaos. I put him in this deck just because I thought it'd be fun. He stabs people with his little pitchfork and then swaps control of them. So I get to steal whatever he attacks, and then in exchange, the opponent's going to get the Red Imp. just a really, really weird card. This was also, incidentally, another player-inspired idea that we kind of worked with the community on to hone to get to the exact card text you see here. All right, Meltros is ready. Let's do this. Dun, 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 dun. Please no bugs, please no bugs. I hope that that's all that was, that bug, that other thing. All right, we're ready to fight. All right, looks like Meltros is also toting a custom deck here. I like it. An assassin there, man. You're gonna watch out for this guy. He's brutal. He gets up behind you and you're in big trouble, so we're gonna watch out for him. All right, let's go ahead and start by getting our mountain troll smacking that mummy away. All right, so if I put this guy here, can he go around me? 1, 2, 3, he can. So we're gonna try to flush out his. I'm gonna turn this music off. That's a little better. Now you can, everyone okay with the audio balance there? I can't tell what it sounds like on the stream, but let me know if that sounds a little better. Alright, and then, you want to summon this guy? Yeah. Let's get it right. Oh no! Oh! We've been counterspelled! You could have had a red imp there. The chaos was blocked. Yes, the Mummy Queen. This was another one of our cards that was inspired by one of Imzakola's ideas in the Discord. So, yeah. Pretty cool to have that in the game. Oh no! We've been unsummoned. Oh, that assassin's getting a little too close for comfort there. I don't like that. At least the mummy's been rid of. Wow. That Pierce is not good for my troll's armor there. Assassin's so close. Alright, let me think what I want to do here. Yikes. Okay. Let's see. I think we're gonna resummon the Matacore. Yeah, let's resummon our Matacore. Here's the problem. I don't think I have a way to protect my troll assassin aside from maybe doing this. We do not want the rear exposed to that assassin because that means death. So let's go there, and I can attack him because he's stealth, so let's leave him there like that. This music is created by Albert Fernandez, who was the talented young gentleman who created our trailer music for Kickstarter. And as you guys may or may not know, that was also voted on by the community. So another way we've involved the community, you guys got to pick the music we use for our trailer, and really fit well with the game. So we reached out to him again to do this nice little battle loop customization for us for the game. And we're hoping to do some more work in the future as we get closer toward launch when we do some more of the polish. That is a lot of skeletons. And fortunately, I have just a solution for that. Sorry, Meltros, but it's time to burninate those skeletons! Wipe the sea clean. And all the trees, as you can see, now have no leaves. Okay, now I gotta get rid of this nasty assassin. Okay, he's poisoned, so we don't have to worry about him. Look, before we do this, let's fireball that Lich King. Now let's start hammering that Lich King. Boom! Excellent. Imzakrilla asks, wait, minions are spells? Yes, minions are spells. Everything in the game is a card that you can play from your deck as a, I guess, quote-unquote, spell, per se. So yes, they can be countered just like anything else with the counter spell. Ah, the Flesh Golem. That was a good choice. When you're in trouble, nothing helps more than having a nice little Flesh Golem there. So what Flesh Golem does is he actually acts kind of like a life-linked bodyguard type of thing. The idea is inspired by the idea that, like, you know, the myth that sorcerers, like necromancers, could contain their life force within another object separate from their body. That's kind of what the flesh golem is meant to be. And he's a carryover from our first game, Hero Mages. He was a very, very popular character in Hero Mages because of that very unique ability. And so we wanted, of course, to include him in the sequel, Summoner's Fate. All right. Now let's see what we can do here with this guy. I got some nasty plans here in place. We're going to create a combo chain that's going to involve attacking this Lich King and creating a cascade combo where the Mountain Troll's knockback is going to push him into Barbarian, which will trigger the Barbarian's knockback and hopefully create a nice little ping-pong effect that causes Maltross's untimely defeat. Here we go. Boom! Combo! 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 Oh! Look at that. Because the Flesh Golem was there, he's going to take all those hits. I forgot about that. So I did a massive 15 damage, but all of it went to the the Flesh Golem. Oh, so Maltross lives to see another day. He's still in trouble. Still quite in big trouble. Also poison from the Manicore there, so I hope you got something good to come back with there. I'm anxious to see what he's going to pull out here. The rabbit trick here. Magic comeback card. That's one of the things I love about this game is that even when defeat looks desperate like this, there's always some card or combination you can often use to come back from situations. It doesn't always work, but in a lot of cases I've seen games like this turn around. Ooh, a Scorpion! Get some health back from the Mountain Troll there, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. The Horse Demon. Another awesome character that was created on the streams. Yeah! Not bad. Okay, let's see. Can I get him? Let's see. So we got poison, but the Barbarian has a power where when he kills, he gets to move and attack again, so we were able to get past him. That was a very good tactic Maltross used there, blocking me in, because I would have had a hard time getting around to his Lich King, but now that the path is clear. And Manicore can fly, so let's finish it off. Let's go, GG's in there. Good game, Maltross. That was fun. Excellent. All right. Very, very fun game. Okay. Let's, we got time. What time is it here? We got 11 to 10. We got maybe another 20 minutes. I could probably do one, maybe two more if we're lucky and fast here. Shall we try this again? I'd actually like to try and rematch. I never got to use any of my dragons or portals. Let's hop back in the queue, see if Maltross's game. Yes, that was very fun. It's crazy. When you're the dev and you work on this so hard, at a certain point you only start to see the flaws. Oh, I gotta fix this bug, I gotta fix this bug. And it's nice to step back once in a while and actually play the game with other players and take part in the fun, because it's a good time. This is a really fun to play game. I like playing it. Oh, I get to go first. Excellent. Okay, let's see here. Let's start off with a surprise. Now, if Maltross is watching, he probably already knows what that is, but we'll put it there anyway. He doesn't know. And, talking there. That's the Cheery. Little creepy girl that turns into a banshee when she's killed. Alright, let's, I don't want to get frozen in response, so let's take down the Cheery. Okay, I don't want to hold position here. Ah, there's one of my gates. I'm excited about this next time. Start summoning some monsters. Pressure on. Oh, I got whipped around the butt in the back there. It's facing the wrong way. He's frozen. Just something about the idea of this creepy undead character with a teddy bear thwacking a giant lion. All right, spoil the surprise. Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, of course I've been waiting to get these gates up, so we're gonna go ahead and put a portal down because I'm really excited to see what comes through that gate there next turn. So what this is going to do is summon the next unit in my deck at the start of my next turn. So he's got a chance to destroy the gate before it opens, but that's not easy to do with 5 life. Get the troll out of here. And ooh, I got this. You're free! Oh, and I can't move because I'm taunted, so I have to just do it. Which is poison. And there we go. I'm very excited about what comes out of that gate next turn. Oh man, what's going to come out of the gate? What's coming? Alshos really doesn't like my magical. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no! The Banshee! Ah! Oh dear. It's gonna hurt. This is a very interesting game. All kinds of good stuff. I'm not looking too good right now. I'm pretty much pinned down here. He's bringing on the heat. Oh dear! That was a massive amount of damage I suffered that turn. Oh! The gate summoned the imp. I should have put more dragons in the deck. I need bigger things. The imp's not going to save me now. I was intrigued. I thought for sure Melatros was going to take that Banshee and smack the gate, but I guess he was just as curious as I was to see what was coming through. Okay, so let's have some fun. I'm going to... Let's see. I want to steal. I have all kinds of fun choices. I definitely want to steal something with that imp. We've also got this card, which is fun. I feel like I want to deck out his troll. What the? He's naked! I didn't expect that to happen. According to this, he's supposed to be wearing Dreadnought armor, but there appears to be an issue with that. Oh, yeah, okay. I did do some definition updates. I probably introduced a bug with the equipment there. So, yeah, he's supposed to have armor on, but apparently he just took his armor off. That's most awesome bug ever. Let's go ahead and report that while we're in here. When I cast the, what's it called spell? Dark Temptation on Mountain Troll, he lost his armor. Okay. Very fun. Okay, well, let's get him out of the way. And, should I steal this Banshee? I feel like that's a good choice. Okay, and enter. Something about the troll is supposed to be chaos on when he just has no clothes. That's just hilarious. I think it should stay. Oh man, we're getting pummeled here. Oh man, brutal. We really need some healing big time. Alright, well the good news is the Dark Temptation effect still works, which means I got to steal his troll now. And this troll has an amazing, does it say -6? Yeah, 6 armor. Yes, that's amazing. Awesome. Alright. -0, -1. I'm trying to think of why he's got -1 to his, oh, because of the, because of the Reaper of Souls. That's right. Alright, let's see what we can do here. We can make a comeback. An amazing comeback is what we need. That's a beefy troll. He sure is. Okay. Let's see. Can't cast anything, so let's try and bolt this. And unfortunately, I think we may be doomed. I think it may be over, folks. 5. I'm trying to think if I can combo them together somehow. Cascading things. But I don't think so. Combo! I did 19 damage there, but unfortunately not enough. Alright. We're gonna die by our own terms. Ah! Oh, I forgot that doesn't hurt myself. I thought it kills everything. I guess it only hurts everything else. That's right. Okay. Well, that's GG. Ah! Pitchfork in the butt! GG. Got poked by the demon in the dupa. In the dupa. Good game. The troll was... Clever name. The troll was very tempted. Greetings to you, Ross, on this day of your creation's revelation. Thank you so much. I am so appreciative to have you here with us on the stream, and thank you for all the support in our Discord as well. It's truly an honor to be developing this game with such a positive, upbeat, and very supportive community, and I am honored. All right, we've got just about 10 minutes. We can probably do one more match. I think I'm going to change up my deck, though, just so we have something different. Let's see what else I've got here. Do I want to play my Soldiers deck? This deck is really nasty. Do you want the really nasty deck, Meltros? This is a good one. Yeah, let's play the Soldiers deck. I love this deck. That's one of my favorites. Let's see if he's in for one more. So my Soldiers deck is all about just summoning a bunch of ironclads and equipping them to the teeth with various weapons and such. Yeah, it's pretty fun. I love giving my barbarians and other characters weird weapons like pitchforks and hammers and fun helmets and things like that. So it's a really good equipment, resilience-centric deck. So I get to go first too. Excellent. For some reason, it's always fate. Whenever I pick this team, I always get this map. It's just a weird coincidence. And this is a very cautious map. So first turn in Summer's Fate is very important, and a lot of the maps are kind of go against tradition in being symmetrical, because I don't consider a mirror map necessarily to be balanced when first turn offers such a huge advantage. So in this case, I'm actually at a disadvantage because these spore pods, which cause poison when exploded next to everything around them, are right on top of me. So my very first thing I've got to do is move into a way that I'm not going to get hit by these things should they go off. So that's what I'm going to do first. I do not want to be poisoned my first turn. Alright, we're going to summon the birdie. This is the red Starling. We talked about him before, but he is representative of the Starling engine for ActionScript, which we use to build Summoner's Fate. This was created by Daniel Sproul Gamua Software, so this Starling is here to honor him for all the support he has provided me with his engine and just in general during the development of this game. He's a great guy. Alright, let's give a Barbarian a spear, because why not? Extra deadly. And let's put the birdie... Let's get him over here. I like to put the bird up here for some reason. That's just where he goes. Yep, I saw that fireball coming. It's still a lot better than getting poisoned. A lot better than getting poisoned by the spore pods. Other bandit cut throat. Kucha! Ugh! That knife to the gut there. That knife sticking in the barbarian and kind of moving back them was a recent adaptation I made to our VFX. It's kind of a cool thing we're able to actually get the actual weapons to throw and kind of stick in the units for a moment. It was kind of fun. Okay, let's see here. Let's get this barbarian on a rampage, shall we? Let's arm him to the teeth with some armor. Love the dynamic equipment here, so it actually shows up on the character, which is fine. We're going to go ahead and heal our barbarian, because he's going to be one tip-top shape. Alright, let the barbarian rampage begin! Okay, let's see. go. Poke him into the spikes and deal the 3 damage knockback from the collision of the spikes there. That is an amazing way that the environment in Summoner's Fate can interact with the tactics on the battlefield. All right, now let's get our fighter mage moving up here, and let's get that bird safely away from the kids. Okay. Barbarians and Spears, man, that is a deadly combo with his existing knockback and wrecking. Ow! Now, see, the great thing is if Meltros had, if I had set it up in the way, yeah. If he had knocked him back into the spore pod, that would actually cause this to explode and poison Barbarian as well. Okay, let's see here. Okay. I think we're gonna go ahead. Get this guy down. Let's see how much life has he got. I think that's a lot of armor. Alright, let's heal our Barbarian. Let's deck out our mage in some armor. Let's go here. Combo! Let's try that one more time. I'm gonna get the bird in the fun too. Okay. Combo! Combo! Oh yeah. Taking down that troll. Very gratifying. No, the bird! The starling! Oh, bandits. Ow! Alright. Let's let the rampage continue. Oh yeah, shit, that's right. What can I put that down? Alright, I'm gonna take this one. Woocha! I've got knockback too. Who needs healing? Who does? Into the spikes. Cha! Oh my goodness. This is gonna be Barbarian's about to get uber powerful. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh no! Massive explosive fireball there. Put a damper on my plans. I was hoping to go to town with Barbarian there this turn. I guess not. Alright, let's instead we're gonna Celestial Champion myself. Now I have a massive 9 power, and we're gonna daisy chain into the collision here. That puts on the hurt, and we definitely need some healing now. We are vulnerable to disintegrate. So Barbarian up, and let's call that a turn. Very gratifying. Thud into that. Alright, so we've got to dispatch this taunter. I can't leave, I gotta kill him first, so let's do that. Alright, but we can champion Barbarian. should bring us up a note. Yep, there we go. We got enough power. Let's do the finish. I think this is it. Good game. Anyway, we're gonna make it even more evil. Let's kill the paladin first. Finish this board up. GG. Well played, sir. Well played. A worthy match indeed. Excellent. That was a lot of fun. All right. Well, there we go. Did a little work, did a little play, got a little bit of everything here. Had a good time. I hope you guys had fun watching the stream. Again, if you like what you see here and you're interested in helping to support our development while the game is still being developed, I do have the pre-release now available today officially on our website at summonersfate.com. You can buy now. It's available to play on all platforms, and you'll be able to join in, help shape your feedback, and join me every week here as we integrate more cards and content together in the game. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you being in our community, and I look forward to doing another stream with you again next week. Also, quick reminder, we have a bonus stream this week on Friday. I'll be joining ATech Gaming, a gamer group that plays game for charity, actually. They featured us as their featured developer for this week. They've got a great write-up about us. I shared on our forums you can go check out. And I will be showing on their channel on Friday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So be sure to check that out as well. Thanks again, guys. Take care.